everyone, welcome back to our channel. It's Bella here. In today's look, I created this really deep forest green crease with a gold sparkly lid and a nude lip. So if this is something that you're interested in seeing how to achieve, then just keep on watching. And if you're new here, make sure that you hit that subscribe button because trust me, you guys won't want to miss a video. We come out with makeup tutorials like 3 to 5 times a week, so definitely stay tuned because we'll be posting more looks very soon. In today's makeup look, I'm using the Morphe 39A Dare to Create eyeshadow palette. And this is what the inside of the palette looks like. This is probably one of my favorite palettes from Morphe. The first shade that I'm going to be using is the shade Canvas, which is this really light neutral brown shade. And I'm going to be putting that in my crease as my transition shade. So I'm just going to be putting it in my crease, going in back and forth motions, and this is going to be my transition shade. So you do not have to be too precise with this step because it is just the background shade. Next, I grabbed this Define Angled Brush from Morphe and I grabbed the shade Fickle, which is this green shade in the palette. So I'm just taking that shade in my crease once again, from inner corner all the way to outer corner, adding depth, just going in back and forth motions, just to really deepen up the crease. And I picked up some more of that original transition shade that we went in with, the shade Canvas, which is the really light brown shade, and I'm going to be blending out that green eyeshadow even more. Next, I'm going to be going into this shade called Pine. It's a little bit darker than the green eyeshadow that we used previously, and I'm just going to be putting that in my crease to add more definition before going in with this black shade right here called Muse. So pretty much I'm just going to be applying the black eyeshadow directly over where we applied the previous green shadows. So with a very steady hand, I'm going to be adding the tiniest line of black eyeshadow. You definitely don't want to go in with too much product when you're using a black eyeshadow because it's just going to go all over the place, and I find that using a black eyeshadow with a brush like this, you just get the most specific placement, and then when you go to blend it out, you look a little bit more natural than as opposed to if you were to use a really big brush and go in with that black eyeshadow, you'd be blending it up to your brow bone pretty much. So that's why I like to use a really defined tiny brush. I'm going to be taking that shade Fickle, the first green shade that we went in with, and I'm going to be adding a tiny bit of pressure and just going in light back and forth motions over that black line. We do want to blend it out, but we do not want to move the placement of the eyeshadow. Like I said before, I do not want to take it up too far. So this is my favorite step when it comes to blending out black eyeshadows in the crease. First, I start with an angled brush with the previous shade that I went in with, just to smudge it out, and then I will go in with a fluffier brush after. Then going back into that JH40 and that lighter green shade that we went in with first, the shade Fickle, I'm going to be blending out that line, just going in little circular motions and back and forth motions as well, just to really diffuse the edges. Next, I'm going to be taking this Tarte clay pot in the shade Goldilocks. Taking that clay pot, I'm just going to be applying it all over my eyelid, and it does dry down pretty quickly, so you have to work fast when applying this. Taking the Dose of Colors Block Party eyeshadow in the shade Heart of Gold, and this is what the eyeshadow looks like. It's such a gorgeous foiled gold shade, and it has a really nice bronze undertone. So I'm just going to be packing that all over the lid. So I'm just going to be packing that shade all over my lid, and I'm not taking it all the way up to the yellow shade. As you guys can see, I'm leaving a little bit of the clay pot showing. Next, I'm going back into the shades Fickle and Pine, the two green shades that I used, and I'm going to be packing that all over the outer lid, fading it inwards just to add a little bit more dimension to the look and just deepening up the outer crease. And as you guys can see, I'm just doing really light tapping motions. Going back into that black eyeshadow called Muse, I'm just going to be adding even more depth only on the outer V portion of the eye. So I'm just going to be lightly feathering that product on to the outer V. Next, I'm going to be taking this BH Cosmetics Gold Glitter and this NYX Glitter Primer. Taking that glitter, I'm going to be packing it on the very center part of my lid. And when I get to the crease, I'm going to start tapping from side to side because I want to create a little bit of a glitter halo, if you will. Next, I'm going to be going in with my Sofie Bella lashes in the style Barbados. And I'll definitely leave a link for these lashes in the description box below. So I'm just applying these lashes with some tweezers, and this is what they look like on the eye. They're definitely very fluttery and dramatic, but I feel like they just make the eye look pop even more. Next, I'm taking this Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in the shade Overdrive. And it's this really beautiful emerald green shimmer eyeliner. And I'm just taking that eyeliner and putting it in my waterline. So I just went ahead and zoomed you guys out a little bit so that you guys could see how I achieved my face makeup. So pretty much what I did first was I grabbed my Laura Geller color correcting trio, and I grabbed this shade right here, which is a pinky kind of salmon shade, and I used that to correct my under eye circles. So I just took it with a beauty sponge. So I just took it with a damp beauty sponge and I started to apply it on my under eye circles just to correct any darkness that I may have underneath my eyes. And I just use a very thin layer of it, and I honestly love this step. I find myself never skipping it, and I feel like it almost acts as a primer for my concealer that I'm going to go in with after my foundation. So for foundation, I'm going to be using my Becca Skin Love foundation. As you guys can see, this is a well-loved product over here. I definitely use this foundation on the daily, and it's just such a gorgeous skin finish, but it's still full coverage, if that makes any sense. I will show you guys right now. And I use one full pump of that on the back of my hand, and I just apply that all over my face. And I'm not using a primer because it's like 8:30 p.m. where I'm at right now, so I don't have any plans of going anywhere, so I'm not going to use any primer because I just don't want to waste product like that. So I'm just going to be applying this all over my face, just dotting it on first. And I usually take whatever's left over on the back of my hand and I just drag it down my neck like so. And my favorite foundation brush at the moment has been the Real Techniques Kabuki brush. There's nothing really special about it, it's just a pretty basic kabuki brush, but the way that it applies foundation to my skin is just so stunning and flawless, and it doesn't leave any streaks or anything like that. I find that when I use this brush, I don't really even have to go in with a beauty sponge after, because it just gives me the finish I want right away. So I'm just going in stippling motions because I definitely want a full coverage look, and I have some imperfections on this side that I want to cover. And I always drag it down my neck. And as you guys can see, it's just such a gorgeous skin finish foundation, and it just makes my skin look like a better version of itself. Another thing that I really love about this foundation is that I can use it on days where I don't want to wear a lot of makeup because it is so natural looking. But because it is full coverage, I can wear it on days where I do a really dramatic eye, like today. So yeah, definitely check out this foundation if you haven't already. And just for shade reference, I'm in the shade Olive. For concealer today, I'm going to be taking this Makeup Forever Ultra HD Light Capturing Self-Setting Concealer. This concealer claims to be self-setting, but I personally have really oily skin, and I can't picture myself not setting any part of my makeup. I have to set every single part, even my base, because if I touch my face, the foundation will transfer because of my oily skin. So I will definitely be setting this concealer, but I'm just going to be going into the shade 34. I have used this concealer before, and I do feel like it's not as full coverage as my Too Faced Born This Way, but I still like it. I definitely will still go in and highlight the center parts using the Too Faced concealer anyways, just because it is my favorite concealer and I feel like no concealer compares to it. But this is super hydrating, and I don't know if I would not set it, even though it claims to be self-setting. So that's just a little disclaimer on that. So just blending that concealer with my damp beauty sponge. I'm just going to be going in back and forth motions, making sure that everything is nice and blended on the skin. And I like to go over my smile lines a lot because that's where I tend to crease first because of like smiling, obviously. And I still feel like I want a little bit more coverage right here, so I'm just going to apply my Born This Way Too Faced concealer in the shade Nude just right on the inner parts, my nose, chin, and that's it. I'm just going to go ahead and blend that out. To set everything in place, I'm going to be using my Why do I always say Hootie? I'm going to be using my Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Setting Powder in the shade Pound Cake. And at first I like to grab very, very, very little amount of powder because I feel like everything's still wet, so you don't want the dry powder to cling to all the wet areas. So I grab the tiniest bit of powder and I set my whole face pretty much with this. And that's just going to help us have a more flawless base. Especially my forehead, I like to set that area really good because I feel like I tend to crease in my forehead lines if I'm wearing too heavy a foundation or if I don't set my forehead good enough. So going in with a generous amount of that powder and a beauty blender that is kind of damp, you definitely want it to be more on the dry side versus damp side, if that makes sense. Because if it's too damp, then it's just going to disturb the product. So I just like to bake right along the sides of my nose and underneath my eyes. And as I get to the outer part, I don't want there to be any harsh lines because my skin, if I bake really heavy in a certain way, my skin tends to suck that powder in pretty quickly. So I like to just make sure that when I bake, everything is in a super blended manner. So next I'm going to be applying my highlighter, and I'm going to be using my Dose of Colors Desi x Katy Fuego highlight. And this is what it looks like. So I'm just going to be applying it on my cheekbones. So I'm just going to be applying that highlighter to the high points of my cheekbones, a little bit on my chin. And I absolutely love this highlighter. I feel like it gives me the finish that I want when it comes to a highlighter, and it's not too light and it's not too dark. And I just love it. For bronzer, I'm going to be using my BH Cosmetics Brilliance bronzer in the shade Bronze Babe. And most of you guys already know that I'm obsessed with this bronzer. And it is a little bit more on the warm side, so if you are more fair than me, this might not work for you. But if you're deeper than me, this will definitely work for you. So I'm just going to be putting that in the hollows of my cheeks, my jawline, and my forehead. A good trick if you take the bronzer down too low is to just apply some translucent powder right below, and it'll just clean it up really nicely. So while I let that sit for a minute, I'm going to be going in with the Dose of Colors Mint For You Statement Blush. And this is a really beautiful coral blush, and I'm just going to be adding it to my cheekbones and a little bit on my nose. Just all the places that the sun would naturally hit to give you that rosy look. And I like to take my blush all the way back just to give more of an even appearance. I actually really love this blush. I believe that I used the other blush from this collection. There was two blushes that they launched in this Blush Like You Minted mint collection, and I loved the other one, but I let Sophie keep that one because I had two of the blushes from the same collection and I just feel like it's kind of excessive. So this is my first time trying the Statement blush, and I actually really like it. Alright, and it's okay if you put a little bit too much blush because when you go in with the translucent powder, you just kind of blend everything together. And my skin is definitely feeling very dry, so I need to go in with a spray. And this eye just keeps watering non-stop. I even took off my lashes and debated not even doing a full face portion of this look because this eye is just not having it today, but I am determined. I am determined. Alright, so next I'm going to set my face using the Smashbox Photo Finish Centering Citrus Primer Water, and this is the collab with Nicole Concealio. I really love these sprays. I still have a bunch of them. And I'm just going to set my whole face really well and let that dry. And don't be afraid to go in with a lot of spray. It just makes your skin look more like skin, and it takes away that powdery texture that powders will give you. So that's definitely a good trick if you want your makeup to look more skin-like. Next, I'm going to go in with some lip liner. And I'm going to be using the new Dose of Colors lip liner. Let's see, I have all my Dose of Colors lip liners and eyeliners in here, and I just feel like it's so cute. It came with a bunch of stickers, so I put them on the outside of the box. But I think I'm going to be going in with the shade Nitty Gritty. I think. Yeah, I'm going to go in with the shade Nitty Gritty, and this is what the shade looks like. So it's a little bit of a brownish nude lip liner. So now that I have my lips lined, I really love this lip liner. It's actually a very pigmented lip liner. I was not expecting that. And I'm just, well, I don't know why I said I'm not expecting that. All of Dose of Colors products tend to be products that I love. To finish off the lips, I'm just going in with this Smashbox Always On liquid lipstick in the shade Fair Game. And I'm going to use my finger. So that matte lip dried down pretty quickly, so I feel like a nice gloss to top it off will just blend the lip together. So I'm going to apply the shade Midnight Cowgirl from the Hi-Fi Shine Urban Decay glosses. And you guys, this is one of my favorite glosses. It smells like candy. Really, really good. So I'm just going to be applying this in the center parts of my lips. And right there. This is the finished look. I hope you guys really enjoyed watching this tutorial. Let me take this off actually. So I just threw my hair up really quickly in a bun, and this is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this tutorial. If you did, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn your post notifications on, and comment done down below so that you never miss a video. And yeah,